So you wanted to blow things up with aggressive force and explosions, but you're unsure of how to get started. I mean, I have weapon kits out the wazoo, but why do I need them? Don't I already have a weapon? Well, that's where I'm going to help you out. Here's a new player's guide for the engineer in Guild Wars 2. While this guide will focus mainly on the core spec, I will briefly describe the Scrapper, the Holosmith, and the Mechanist elite specializations. Here we go. So any good engineer has lots of tricks up their sleeve. In Guild Wars 2, they are no different. The tool belt is the profession mechanic, and it is as versatile as the engineer. The tool belt offers a miniature skill based off of the utility skills that you choose. When you swap out the utility skill, the tool belt skill changes as well. Each utility skill has a specific tool belt skill that it is associated with. This also carries over for the heal and elite skills. This is where a lot of the customization capabilities come from, and given the amount of skills and choices at your disposal, the engineer can mix and match quite unique and effective builds across the board. The trait lines for the engineer look to improve various components of combat for their mechanical genius. Most excitingly is probably the explosion trait line. This improves strike damage, ferocity, and applies a lot of vulnerability. Vulnerability causes targets to take more damage. Firearms look to improve your weapons, as well as offering ways to improve condition damage by inflicting bleeding on critical hits. The invention trait line improves healing and survivability. It also improves shield skills. Alchemy improves various effects of cleansing, healing, and self-defense, with many of the skills offering automatic defenses when you are disabled or have a certain amount of conditions applied to yourself. The tools trait line improves the tool belt skills that you choose, as well as offering some unique interactions with using the tool belt skills with extra strike damage and fury generation. As a disclaimer, at the time of recording this, the new expansion Secrets of the Obscure will offer the elite specialization weapons baseline to all specializations, including core. However, in this video, I will cover specifically the current core weapon sets. The engineer only has a few options as far as weapons are concerned, between the two-handed rifle, the pistol main hand and offhand, and of course the shield. The rifle offers quite a bit of mobility as well as some insane strike damage. Oh, by the way, the main attacks also throw a grenade. The main hand pistol offers a lot of conditions, including bleeding, poison, and confusion, while the offhand pistol adds burning to the mix as well as an area immobilize and cripple. The offhand shield offers ways to block attacks and even reflect range attacks, also offers some great crowd control. That's it. Well, let's talk about the utility skills that make up for this. The utility skills are exactly what you would expect from a cunning genius. They have elixirs, engineering kits, turrets, and gadgets. The elixirs are various potions that can be utilized on demand that provide a lot of boons, cure conditions, and can even shrink you super small. Oh, by the way, the elite skill can turn you into a vicious tornado or a frothing berserker. The gadgets offer various forms of crowd control and mobility, with some explosions. Probably the most unique is the turret skills that set down an automated turret that attacks the nearest enemies, with explosions, flamethrowers, bullets, and even a thumper turret that can knock down and slow enemies. The elite skill calls a turret supply drop that spawns multiple turrets while stunning enemies. To compensate for the low amount of weapons that the engineer has access to, they make up for it with engineering kits as a utility skill. These kits can be swapped into or out of at any time, and they offer a brand new set of skills with their own internal cooldown, like the grenade kit, flamethrower kit, bomb kit, or the med kit. Even the elite skill mortar kit to assail enemies at crazy long distance. Outside of the Mechanist, most engineer builds include a weapon kit of some fashion, mainly the grenade and mortar kits. Literally, each one of these utility skills change the corresponding tool belt skill, so keep this in mind as versatility is the name of the game. The playstyle of the engineer depends on the style of engineer you are aiming to be. Typically, most engineer builds include one, if not more, engineering kits to round out your weapon choices, and as such can drastically change your approach to combat. Most kits, however, have more ranged-oriented damage, so being able to kite enemies around as you pelt them with your various attacks will provide great damage but also keep you alive. Deploying a turret or two can provide some consistent damage as well as a target for the mobs to hit, all the while you are blasting them from all of the different kits and skills that you have. The tool belt skills also provide some incredibly unique interactions, so be mindful that there may be a time and place to use them versus just throwing them down at any old time. For example, the Toss Elixir X, which is the elite tool belt skill for Elixir X, turns all enemies in that area who were struck into MOAs, making them essentially defenseless. There are so many different ways to play the Engineer that there is no one right way. You will find the one that fits best for you. The gear choices for the Engineer can change back and forth depending on what form of endgame content you are looking to do. Given that the Engineer has a decent amount of toughness and vitality, you can lean into more offensive stats, like Berserkers for power and precision, or Vipers for condition damage. Typically, if you are using a rifle, you want to match with a power stat build, and if you were utilizing the pistol, you are going to aim for condition damage, precision, or expertise. If you are looking to heal or support in any fashion, you want to look at concentration and healing power. If you don't want to think about it, Celestial gear stats are always a great choice. Here are some leveling tips to get you started as you get into the Engineer. Number 1, the turrets are always a good choice for tanking mobs, as a good portion of the time the enemies will focus on them, allowing you to assail from a distance. Number 2, the engineering kits have no cooldowns on swapping in or out, and typically their cooldowns come up fairly quickly. And number 3, tool belt skills have specific and unique uses. Some are damage, some are defensive, some offer crowd control. Remember to kit out to cover all of your bases. Now let's talk about the elite specialization for the Heart of Thorns expansion in the Scrapper. The Scrapper changes out the elite tool belt skill button for the function gyro, which creates a lightning field, but more importantly, it can finish downed enemies or res fallen allies. And the best part, this happens automatically. The Scrapper picks up a massive hammer to beat and blast enemies into bits. Not only does it provide strong damage, it applies a block and even a long-range stun. The new utility skills are wells, which create powerful areas of effect for the Scrapper and their allies to combo in and out of. The Scrapper trait lines allow it to generate a lot of might, stability, and even apply quickness to themselves and allies. Unique to the Scrapper, the more strike damage they deal, they gain a barrier in proportion to 5% of the damage dealt, clearly bringing the boom. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the Holosmith, the elite specialization for the Path of Fire expansion. The Holosmith forgoes its 5th tool belt skill for Photon Forge. This replaces the baseline weapon skills and allows the Holosmith to create hard light effigies to obliterate foes. This does, however, have a timeline, as it does generate heat, a secondary bar underneath the tool belt skill. If you reach maximum heat, you will explode, dealing a burst of damage to yourself, as well as inflicting burning for a duration to yourself. This also locks you out of accessing the Photon Forge for a short time. The Holosmith gains the Sword main hand to slice and dice enemies. The sword gains extra effects and damage depending on the current heat level that the Holosmith has. The Holosmith gains Exceed skills that have a variety of control and defensive uses. These skills are improved based off of the heat level that you currently have. Lastly, the Traitlines look to improve various aspects of the Photon Forge. Most uniquely is the Photon Blasting module, that instead of dealing the burst damage from overheating being done to you, it is instead a miniature nuke onto nearby enemies. However, the burning still occurs to you. The Holosmith really does turn up the heat. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the Mechanist, the elite specialization for the End of Dragons expansion. The Mechanist forgoes its tool belt profession mechanic in favor of, well, the mech. This jolly green giant can be modified from a number of trait line choices and offers a wide variety of customization choices. The Mechanist picks up a mace main hand to pummel and blast enemies from a distance or up close. This also applies a lot of confusion. The Mechanist picks up the Signet skills that have strong passive and powerful active effects. Most notably is the elite skill, Overclock Signet, which recharges the cooldown of all other Signets passively, but actively can cause your mech to summon a beam of burning death to devastate groups of enemies. If your mech is down and not able to be summoned, it will fully revive the mech instead, summoning it to the battlefield. The trait lines are where the customization comes in. The Mechanist trait line changes the mech's active abilities based off of the choices within this line. Each trait grants the mech one of 3 abilities. Typically, there's an optimal route, choosing either strike or condition damage or supportive capabilities. The traits also apply small passives that improve various combat routines. If the Mechanist needs to, they can remove their mech from combat, allowing it to heal, and then summon it back when they truly need it. And uniquely, the Grandmaster trait choice, J-Drive, allows the mech to still strike from orbit while dismissed or away. Talk about falling from the stars. Regardless the method, the Engineer offers some of the most unique gameplay across any class in MMORPGs. Between the various tools, traits, and turrets, not to mention the explosions, they are the true jack of all trades, master of none. Are you ready to blow this popsicle stand? If you are interested in learning more about the Shadowy class and the Thief, click this video here. Stay caffeinated, folks.